Portland Trailblazers blast the Utah Jazz, but we have a festive event. We have Kevin Pelton as an extra Postcast guest, plus this guy right back here peering in at us, wondering what's going on. It's a full house. Jazz didn't have a full house tonight. They get throttled. It's Postcast. David Locke, Locke and Ron Boone, and special guest Kevin Pelton. Ron Boone, let's start with you. Or should I set the tone? Would you like to go first, or would you like me to set the tone?
Go ahead and set the tone.
I'm surprised. I came into this one thinking that Portland had some defensive systems that Jazz could take advantage of. I'm not a believer in Portland's full court pressure. I think it exposes them. I thought Keontae could have had a big night, and Lowry could have had a big night off the drop defensive coverage. I thought they were a bad half-court they are a bad half-court offensive team. And so I thought if there was ever a night where our not very good defense could handle itself, it was going to be tonight. I did not think the road trip had been entirely grueling. I did not expect the Jazz to come out just flat as a pancake tonight.
I'm going to agree with you there, strictly because I'm going by the shoot-around report this morning, or what they were working on, wanting to take away cutters and everything. Did not know or did not prep for maybe that they were as good of a three-point shooting team.
They're not.
As they did. And so as a result, that
Okay, so
lost the game.
All right, let's get to this. Kevin Pelton, let's get some of the analytic aspect. Kevin's of the ESPN. He's their chief analytic guy. So the Jazz allow the most wide open threes in the NBA. If you go look at the NBA.com, 6 feet wide open, they allow the most 6 feet and more. Wide, butt naked open. Guys, everyone in the league can make a butt naked open three at this point. So, how much is the fact that the Blazers are not a very good 3-point shooting team? They come into the game 28th in the league in 3-point shooting at 34%. And then they suddenly go whatever they did tonight. By the end, they were only 39.8%. But the Jazz are culpable of this by leaving them at this much space.
I would say in a single game, there's a little more fluctuation, obviously, in terms of your shot quality in a single game than there is over a larger sample. But there's a way bigger fluctuation in the shot making in a single game. And some of those threes, as you said, there's one possession that stood out where it was Denny Avdia wide open at the top of the key right in front of us after, some good Portland ball movement got Utah on rotation, and they didn't make enough rotations to get out to Denny Avdia. That's the one. Yeah, that's on the defense. Some of the off the dribble stuff we saw, particularly from Shaedon Sharpe early in this game, ended up 5 of 8 from 3, 29 points, a career high 7 assists for Shaedon Sharpe. That's just shot making. That's just a guy kind of defying the scouting report to a degree. So I think there's elements of both.
Okay, the other note that we brought up during the broadcast is that the Jazz allow teams have to use the fewest percentage of self-created baskets against the Jazz defense. In other words, they're beating the Jazz probably at point of attack, getting them in rotation, than getting catch and shoots.
Yeah, it's sort of a stylistic defensive indicator. You see it a lot. You see bigger differences at the college level because, a zone, for example, almost all the shots other than offensive rebounds in it are going to tend to be off of an assist. So that means you're in rotation a lot generally, and that's, what is allowing some of those open threes.
So back in the day, there was a group called the Stylistics.
Mm-hmm.
And he's making reference to the singers, or are you making reference to this game?
Were they any good?
Oh, absolutely. It's
everything
my ear when I thought I was cool.
I'm
you know
so
what I mean?
Sorry. Everything in your ear was good. I forgot. My bad. Lacey in our chat room said this team surprises her every night. That was actually where I was just about to go with Ron. So the same team that goes and beats Detroit at home and beats San Antonio, I think that's what it was on back-to-back, comes out tonight and just gets throttled by a Portland team that, honestly, I don't feel like had that much more talent on the floor than the Jazz tonight. Maybe I'm misjudging how good some of our players are, but right. I like the top two guys on each team are Avdia and Sharpe against Markkanen and George. To me, that feels relatively even, and then from that point on, I don't know who the third best player on their team was tonight in their starting lineup. Tamari Kamara is probably maybe better than our third best player, I guess, because he's got a defensive uniqueness to it. I think Yusuf Nurkic is probably better than Donovan Clingan right now, but maybe not. I'm surprised in this matchup that the Jazz got hammered.
I'm surprised as well, David, and I'll tell you why. Is because, again, looking and watching what they wanted to do with the scouting report this morning and the way they were prepping for this basketball game, I was expecting the Jazz to take away the cutters, take away points in the paint. And again, the 3-point shot of the Portland Trail Blazers is what actually won the ball game. Now, the question here is that as poorly as the Jazz were shooting the basketball or playing in that first half, they just could not come out of that hole. I mean, you dig a hole, they just could not come back out of it.
It's disconcerting that a team that came into this game ranked 28 or 24th offensively, but ranked 28th in half-court offense, had an offensive rating of a 152 at halftime.
Well, it was a shot making, and then also it was a function to some degree of the turnovers. At one point, Utah had 10 turnovers for 20 Portland points. That was really, getting Portland out and creating some easy those opportunities to pad that offensive rating by not playing in the half court. And to me, as much as you're highlighting the defensive end of the court, I think there was also this started at the offensive end with Utah's inability to take advantage of Portland's drop coverage that we talked about a lot until, we saw some step-in three-pointers at the start of the third quarter, but that was the first time. And until then, it was a lot of getting too far into the paint and allowing Donovan Clingan's size to really be a big factor in this game. He finishes with 3 blocks in addition to his 17 boards.
Ron, I agree with Kevin. I thought all first half, the Jazz kept coming off the picks and getting into where Portland wanted them to be. Instead of where the Jazz wanted to be, they were where Portland wanted them to be. What was going on in the pick and roll that they couldn't come off and get the off-the-bounce three or keep the floor spread?
I'll do that stuff. The Jazz points in the paint, they just did. Having said that, what were the points in the paint there in the first?
Yeah, they ended up with 52 in the first half. They were 24, but 12 of 28 shooting. Took 28 shots to get.
So that's
there.
not very good.
Not good at all.
Right. That's that little floater you love so much.
Well, Nurkic is the only one that can come up with it. I mean, he's the only one that was making it, and I gotta, he's just been doing it awfully good here in the last 4 or 5 ball games. At the beginning of the year, Kevin, he just, but lately he's been making them.
Portland has won 5 of 6. It's worth noting. They're probably playing their best basketball of the year. They came in having won 4 or 5. They beat a Victor Wembanyama-less San Antonio team the other night. They beat New Orleans after.
What we didn't see tonight was that pressure defense that really took the Jazz out of whatever they were trying to do the last time these two teams met. 3-quarter, really really a lot of pressure on the Jazz to the point where they were operating in a short clock. That was something I was watching for and just didn't bother the Jazz at all. For the most part, they didn't try to. All
right, so here's a numbers one that's gonna be really interesting. If you remember on that broadcast, I don't have the exact number, but after the game when we talked, I kept saying okay, it felt like you bothered them, but the Jazz scored 135 points that night,
in that game,
and their offensive rating was a 130. The Jazz offense tonight was a 118. The Jazz offense was far worse tonight. I don't think the pressure defense is any good. I think if you pick somebody up at 94 feet most of the time and you try to guard them, by the time they beat you, it's a 5-on-4 by 40 feet, and your defense is taxed the wrong direction the whole time. So I actually think the fact they weren't playing pressure defense is probably a sign of Thiago Splitter changing this team in a manner that's going to make them a better team.
Good point.
I think it's also a response to personnel, because at that point it was Matisse Thybulle, who is a defensive terror, and Blake Wesley, who came in and did a really nice job for them defensively early in the season. Both of those guys have been hurt and out for a long period of time, and that's forced Portland to change how they play. And one of the things that's happened is Caleb Love has stepped into those minutes, and he's been very up and down. But during that 6-game stretch where they've won 5 of their last 6, Caleb Love has played terrific basketball off the bench for the Blazers.
You were mesmerized by the Denny Avdija turnaround.
Absolutely. And just looking at some of those numbers, you're looking at a guy, boy, he's already close to leading this franchise in triple doubles. If I remember correctly, I think the only one ahead of him is Clyde Drexler, maybe 2 or something like that. So it's not like he's just scoring. He's playing basketball. He's getting assists and shooting the basketball well, the 3-point shot. But more importantly, his game is now he is very aggressive and what he's doing offensively.
And he's big.
Yeah, the other part of that transformation with those injuries, I didn't mention Drew Holiday, who has not been out as long as Thybulle and Wesley, but has been out of the lineup for a long period of time. And when he went out, that put the ball into Denny Avdija's hands as point forward. And he's 6'8", 230. A guy like that size handling the ball, you don't impact him the same way as a help defender, as a small forward, or shooting guard as a help defender, as you do against a 6'3" point guard.
All right, that is Postcast tonight. Thank you to Kevin Pelton. Kevin, pleasure to have you on.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me.
Do you have any jazz notes tonight, or are we jazz noteless?
What do you think, David? I mean, I like Nurkic's play tonight. And I do like Collier coming up with 9 assists and his 4 game. But it's so many hit and miss tonight. I mean, even Keontae is.
Oh, yeah. None of our stars deserve.
Right.
I mean, my only problem, you're down. What were we down? 20, 30 in the 10 in the first, 20 in the second, 30 in the third.
I think we were down 32, as high as 32 today.
Yeah, I mean, I literally think we went down 10 in the first, 20 in the second, and 30 in the third.
So I wouldn't have a problem with not giving out any, but I think Nurkic and maybe Collier deserves.
Wow. Okay. You're very giving in the new year.
Yeah.
I might give Collier, though we never docked Collier for his plus minus when it's been bad. So maybe we should give him credit when it's good because he had the best plus minus tonight. But so maybe I would go there with you.
I like it.
You're much nicer. You're much
one.
nicer than I am.
What do you think, Kevin?
Even Lacey wasn't giving out stars tonight. I just
He
gotta
wasn't?
tell you what.
Lacey, you're the boss. No stars.
That wraps us up. See ya.